in the search for the hidden secrets of the creation, nativity, and second coming in his new book,
Planet X, the Sign of the Son of Man, and the End of the Age.
Doug's latest book on Planet X explores the astounding new theory that the Star of Bethlehem and the mysterious sign that Jesus said that would foretell his second coming are in fact one and the same object, the mysterious Planet X, that even now may be winging its way back to a fateful rendezvous with Earth. Don't let the end times creep up on you like a thief in the night. Let
Planet X, the Sign of the Son of Man, and the End of the Age
help you physically, mentally, and spiritually prepare for the dark times ahead and the great destructions that are sure to accompany Planet X as it once again passes near Earth in its fateful orbit around the Sun. You can get your copy of
Planet X, the Sign of the Son of Man, and the End of the Age
on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, SurvivalMall.com, or through your local bookstore. Or visit www.planet-x.info for more information on how to prepare for the end of the age. In his new book, Wandering About, author David Strumfeld talks about the universe, existence, civilization, and the nature of mankind. Wandering About is a comprehensive guide that discusses man's everlasting struggle to learn what his place in the universe is and what the true purpose of his existence is all about. By dealing with many forms of science and humanity, Wandering About also serves as an intellectual autobiography, an expedition through author David Strumfeld's mind and his life as a human being. Through the reader's views, readers will learn many relevant things such as the development of civilization through the ages, how science helped mankind to make many crucial discoveries about the universe, why people's curiosity and imagination never get satisfied, and much more. Wandering About promises to push the reader's reasons and thinking to the very edge. To order Wandering About by David Strumfeld, go to www.wanderingabout.net. That's www.wanderingabout.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the Starcom radio network. Toll-free worldwide is 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV, and our main website at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Exonation, before I get to my next guest this hour, Linnea Johansson, I would just like to let you know that tomorrow night we're starting a brand new feature here on the Xzone. Over the past 2 months, you've been listening to something that we call Stories and Songs for Soldiers, right? Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing Dan Perkins on the show. He has pre-recorded some very interesting 4 to 5 minute snippets, and we're going to be listening to Dan every night here on the X Zone. He's done something so wonderful with Songs and Stories for Soldiers. This was his idea. He's the gentleman behind it. He and his wife have been working so hard at it. And all they're doing is helping the returning veterans. What a guy. And we're very happy to have Dan Perkins as part of the X Zone family. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Linnea Johansson. Now, as a child at the age 4, LinneaStar began to see and say things that were a sign of a metaphysically gifted child. Now, this was recognized by her family as her grandmother was gifted and told the family that Linnea also shared the gift. She does past, present, and future and sees many people in the Boston and New England area. Prophecy is mentioned in the Bible, and it is written that if you can predict the future and it comes true, your gift is from the divine realm. Joining me now is Linnea. Whoa, it's been one of those nights. Johansson and Linnea, welcome back to the X Zone. Great having you with us.
Thank you so much. I welcome the opportunity to be on your wonderful show, and I hope all is well. And I'm excited. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me on. Well,
we're happy to have you here. Why don't you tell our listeners about when this all started? Here you were a young child at the age of 4. What did you start to see? What did you start to say that showed the people that you, in fact, were very gifted?
Yeah, thank you. I had gone to a wedding reception, and my grandmother had remarried, and I didn't really, know her new family, and I kept seeing a woman, and the woman kept saying, "I'm Mary Elizabeth, I'm Mary Elizabeth." And my grandmother was asking me, prompting me, "Tell me what she says." And I said, "Well, she's telling me she was married to your new husband, and she died from a cancer of the spine." And what had happened was the first wife of the gentleman my grandmother married had died of cancer of the spine 7 years before I was born, and her name was Mary Elizabeth. So my family knew right away that, the other side was trying to communicate with me, and they encouraged it. And they were cognizant of what it meant, and I think that helped me to understand and how to deal with it in the most positive manner that I could.
What was it like growing up as a child with this ability, with this gift?
Thank you. That's a really great observation. To be honest, I thought everybody could do this because, my family was so open to it. And I think I knew it was special, and I think that I knew it would help people, and I think that's the pathway that I've always tried to participate in, because I'm always trying to show you that the soul is eternal, and they want to communicate with you. They want to get in touch with you to let you know that your earthly life is not the end. The grave is the beginning, because you go to eternal life, and we're all reunited again on the other side when we go to glory.
If we go to the grave and it's the beginning of eternal life, where does reincarnation come in?
Very good question, and I've often thought about that myself, and I feel there have been many documentations in the Hindu religion, very beautiful religion, and the Buddhist religion, also a beautiful religion. They encourage a child or an adult to talk about their past lives, and I think you choose to come back if you wish to. I think there are some people that might have unfinished business, and they'd like to return to the earth realm to try to finish that or to learn their lessons. And I think it's your choice. I don't think everyone does it, but I think in some documented cases, it has been proven that people have come back and have often been reunited with the people that are connected to them through familial things. I have heard about women that have died in childbirth and they've come back to the birth family as a child within the family or a child connected to the family, and they've given their past life evidentiary, and it's been proven that, yes, indeed, this was a spirit who returned out of love for her family or his family.
How often does a person come back reincarnated? Does it ever stop?
Well, I've heard, and the things I've read and the things I've learned have said that it usually takes 2 years for the soul to be regenerated. And I believe you can come back as often as you want, but I think that is few and far between. I don't think that everyone wants to come back. And I think that if there is a reason, if the love is, so compelling, if the person feels that they need to reconnect with those loved ones, I think that's the antithesis of how it would happen. And sometimes somebody will say, I wish that person could come back into my life. And then the reality is that they come into the life again as another child or someone connected in the family tree. Oftentimes it's within the same structure that the person was involved in before they passed away.
So why is it so necessary for the soul to keep coming back? If heaven is, or wherever we go, is as wonderful as we are led to believe it is, why don't we just stay there and wait for those who are down here to come up and join us?
Another good observation. I'm going to say that sometimes in a situation where there's been a great love, of child, of romance, or something that was that compelling, and it didn't get to be played out according to the lifetime, I think that soul yearns to come back to the one that loves them and misses them, and I think that is one of the reasons. I feel, too, that we find everybody on the other side. I think our ancestors, people we were close to, people that guided us, in our lives, even though they were on the spirit plane, I feel that sometimes you're compelled to stay with them, but then there are certain cases where the person wants to come back to the person missing them, and sometimes that will become a reality. There was a very wonderful case in 1932, and her name was Shanta Devi, D-E-V-I. And when she was born and she could talk, she told her family that she was really not their child. And, they encouraged her to speak about it. And she gave the name of a town about 500 miles away. It was called Muthra, M-U-T-H-R-A. And by the time she was 8 years old, it was so compelling because she kept saying, I've got to go back to my real family. They took her there. And when she came to the village, she found the house. She knocked on the door with her, her new parents, and she named the man that opened the door. And the man said, that was a nickname that my wife had given to me, and she died 15 years ago. Turns out that there were 4 children in the room, and the little girl knew all 3, but she didn't know the 4th child. She had died giving birth to that particular child 15 years earlier. It was really compelling.
Now, are you a psychic or a medium, or are you both?
Thank you. I'm going to say that it's a combination. Psychic is the word from the Greek psyche, which means soul breath, and it means things that are felt and not seen. And medium is the conduit in between this world and the metaphysical world. So I would combine the two as a psychic medium, being able to get evidentiary information to bring someone back to speak to you, and also having the gift of prophecy. When I see things and they do come true, I have great happiness with the client that spoke to me because they know it was their loved one telling them what came true, because it has to come from the divine realm. A human can't do this unless it's, coming from God.
Let's say somebody comes to you as a medium and they want you to communicate with someone who has passed. Unbeknownst to you, the person who has passed has already been reincarnated. Are you still able to communicate with the essence of that person who's passed?
I've had that occasion where I have felt the person might have come back into the family's, connection. And it usually is when there's a newborn and I will, tell the person, is there a new baby? And oftentimes there is something called an angel kiss or a stork bite. An angel's kiss and a stork bite is a little tiny pink mark on a child's head, shoulder, neck, and that's telling you that the person who was reincarnated kissed that baby before the baby came to you. And you have to, at least in how I handle this, the family has to want this. The family has to want the person to come back because the soul has to feel that it's welcomed and they want their return. There are some souls that are hesitant. They don't want to do this unless the people are in agreement. And I have had a couple of experiences where the family felt that the new child was the reincarnation of a grandfather, a brother, a sibling. And so they came to their own conclusions. And when I met them, I kind of reinforced that, and they said to me, you know what, this is exactly how we feel. The child has memories that this child couldn't have because the child wasn't around when the decedent was alive. So it does happen, few and far between in our society. Quite often in Buddhism and Hinduism, they're very open to it and they encourage it. Our society is a little hesitant about it, and I think it'll take several more years before it's more accepted in an American or a Canadian connection.
Exonation, my guest this hour is LinneaStar. Her website is www.LinneaStar.com. Linnea, how would you describe, or what definition would you give to the soul?
Yes, thank you. I would say, in my connection to what I do, I think the soul is the energy force. It is your life force that you are given by your Creator. Whatever you may believe in, whatever foundation of faith that you have, that gift of the soul is your life on the earth plane. And when that life is finished, whether we're 20, whether we're 70, whether we're, older than that soul goes back to glory. And whatever your conception is of heaven, paradise, God, I feel that energy never dissipates, and the energy is still available to communicate and to manifest itself in trying to reach you, to let you know that the soul did not die. The body is a temporary home. The soul is your eternal life. And if you look at Einstein's theory of relativity, what he says is all matter never dissipates, whether it's a house, a tree, a person. All that energy will still be salient after you pass away, or the house is destroyed, or the tree is cut down. That energy is still manifested on the other side in the spirit world.
When you've communicated with those who have passed and are now on the other side, how do they describe where they are?
Thank you again. I just did a situation locally of a young man who died last summer, almost a year ago. 21 years old, and he was trying to make the mother understand that he had found a grandmother, that he had found another friend that passed away. And I named the gentleman that passed away, and I didn't know anything about him. And I think what he was trying to tell me was all earthly problems were gone. Any physical problems, any mental or emotional problems were gone, and he was quite complacent on the other side with loved ones, and especially this young man. They were both very close growing up. And I think the frosting on the cake was, at the end of my time with this lovely family, the young man kept showing me a star. And he said, they bought me a star. Someone sent my mom a star, and it said, Shane's star. She ran upstairs. She was pretty upset, but happy upset. She ran downstairs with a big white box. I saw her on a Saturday. On a Thursday night, she had been in receipt of a star that was bought by some relatives in his memory. So no one knew about that, and she said, that did it for me. She said,
wow.
The man that died and the star made it for me. She knew she had made a connection. I think it helped her. I hoped it did.
How is it more difficult for you when parents ask you to communicate with a child?
Well, I'm going to say that that's not the natural order of things, and that's a very, compassionate connection that you're making for me. And I think out of all of the work that I do, that has to be the most poignant, because this was a dream. This was a dream come true, and I think the child wants the parent to know, your dream didn't die. I'm still with you. And there is something called an apport, A-P-P-O-R-T, and that is a sign from the other side. And what I have found is many times someone from the other side will show me something, or they'll say they're going to get this, or look for this, and very shortly after I've met the people, they email me, they call me, they get the sign that the person on the other side gave them. And to me, that's a little more validity that, guess what, your loved one said you're going to get this, and you did. And I think that's been helpful to people, too. It's like a gift from the other side, and I think that proves that the soul is trying to communicate to them to say, my life isn't lost. You will find me again when it's your time to go to glory.
On the other side, is there only one religious philosophy, or is there only one consciousness? Here on this planet, Linnea, we can't get along with each other most of the time. How do we all get along together on the other side?
Another great observation. I think that myself, and I think that spiritually there is the opportunity to follow whatever foundation of faith that you were given. There is not just one religion, obviously. There are many, many, many manifestations of God. But I'm going to say that I think there is one universal God that created everything. How you interpret his dogma is naturally up to your family and where you came from and what you've come to as a conclusion. But I'm going to say that this cannot be the end. This is a very short time on the earth plane, and there has to be something more to this, because if you look at ancient civilizations, almost every single, the Egyptians, the Romans, every single group had some kind of sun god, or they knew there was something after this. And I just wish, and it's one of my fondest wishes, and I'm sure that you'll share this with me and the audience, I would hope that we can all come to the acceptance of others' religions.
Yes.
They're all beautiful, they're all spiritual, they're all wonderful, and if we could just be more harmonious, I think any God that's watching over this would want that for his children. I think he would want everyone to regard each other as brother and sisters.
I believe one of the biggest problems we have in today's society is we've lost the ability to respect others' religions. And I think,
right.
and if we were to gain the respect again and learn about each other, find out the significance, what it means, how these different religions affect different people, I'm sure that we would find out that we have more similarities than differences.
Yes, and the thing is that I think the universal rule, do unto others as you would have done to you, is, a common bond with all of us, and we're all in this together. We've got to live our lives.
Yeah.
We've got to make the most of what we have, and I think you're right. If we could learn more about everybody's foundation of faith, I think that would help people to understand the differences and to embrace the similarities.
Linnea, what is the second sight?
Thank you. Second sight usually means you can see beyond what is around you. It's sometimes called the third eye. Third eye is right in the middle of your forehead, your chakra, your chakra with the third eye is right between your eyebrows, and it's also called sixth sense. So what that means is there are certain people. Sometimes they're mystics. Sometimes, they're gifted, and they're able to look at something and see more than the ordinary human can see. It's not an easy gift, I will have to admit that, but I think that the joy that it brings, having second sight, being clairvoyant, being clairaudient, I think when you are able to give and channel the true message, I think the skeptic or the person that's hoping for that message has to sit there and say, they couldn't know that. It had to come from the other side. So being gifted with second sight means that you can look at something and see beyond what the earthling sees. You have a metaphysical connection to the other side of the coin, the veil, the other side of the veil.
It must be very rewarding for you. I feel that you're a very compassionate person. And,
thank you.
And you do what you do for many reasons, one of them being that you want to help. You want to be part of a solution. It must be very rewarding for you when you're able to bring closure to someone who has lost, someone who is on the other side, and you can actually help bring closure. I
think, yes, because I think grief knows no boundaries.
Yeah.
the grief process is very individual and there isn't really a time span. It's kind of like a cocoon, and as each layer comes off, you are becoming the butterfly to fly on to what you need to fly on. And I do feel that if you can communicate with someone that's important to you, someone that was very close to you, someone that you're missing physically, as long as you know that their esoteric presence is there, I think that that can give closure, knowing that it's not the end. You're going to see him again, her again. You're going to be with them again. And I think that's hope. And I think that's what I'm always trying to show people, is have that hope and know that there is something better than all of this when we go to, our reward.
Those who have passed, do they ever come back and guide us and help us and be with us in our time of need?
I'm going to say that's another great observation. There have been documented cases where someone might be going through a very bad situation and they happen to see the image of someone or they hear their voice. So I'm going to say in our darkest hour, in our most difficult times, emotional, financial, whatever illness, whatever we're going through, I feel that the other side will come and bolster you. You can feel their presence. You'll dream about them. And I often tell clients, when you have a dream that is so vivid, that is a visitation. That's a visit from your loved one. And you might think about keeping a dream log. If you keep a dream log of different dreams that you have, as the dreams continue, you can see a pattern where the person on the other side is trying to give you a spiritual message. And if you put all of it together, you'll really have a cognizant message that you can say, that's what they were trying to tell me. That's what they meant. So I think you're right. I think they come back like our guardian angels in our time of extreme need.
Linnea, please stand by. You and I have to take a break at the bottom of the hour. ExoNation, LinneaStar is my special guest this hour. www.LinneaStar.com is her website. And Linnea and I will be back on the other side of this short break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, live and around the world on the Starcom Radio Network. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598.
Have you exhausted all traditional means of healing without success? Are you experiencing communications through ghosts, angels, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services to humanity at this time through consultations. These consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you desire clarity of what may appear to be unexplainable phenomenon, then contact me through my website at aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
What if someone told you you could live to be 120? Would you believe him? What if he told you the Bible guaranteed it? All you needed to do was follow his rules and buy his products. Would you do it? What if you invested 20 years of your life in him? What if he tested his substances on your child? What if your child became brain damaged as a result? Meet Dr. Tyler Belknap, a fast-talking Texas admin turned health guru. At the helm of a vast health food and supplement empire, he has established himself as the authority on nutrition and longevity. But what his followers don't know is that his products are laced with bizarre psychoactive substances from genetically modified plants developed in his very own secret lab. No wonder his customers can't stop using them. Tyler Belknap will stop at nothing to keep his edge in the market, even if it means experimenting on children. Chasing 120, a story of food, faith, fraud, and the pursuit of longevity, a novel from the pen of political cartoonist Monty Wolverton, is an easy and entertaining read full of rich characters and intrigue. It hits home in a world filled with all kind of hucksterism and offers a glimpse of what can happen when GMO technology falls into the wrong hands. Chasing 120 by Monty Wolverton. Get your copy today at www.ptm.org/120 or on Amazon.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X-Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. LinneaStar is our special guest this hour, www.LinneaStar.com. Linnea, how many different gifts do you have?
Thank you for asking me that. I do the past. I bring someone back for you. That's called retrocognition. I get evidentiary information. I do the present. I'll give you things around you right now, and I'll give you the future. I also can hold an object, something that might have belonged to someone. That's called psychometry, where you pick up the vibration of that individual. And I can look at a picture, and if it's on a cell phone or a tablet, sometimes I will see images within the picture. and that's photo recognition, and you will see the image that I see. That's called Linnea's Grave Secrets. I have just come back from the shrine of St. Catherine Labouré in Paris 2 years ago, and I've always been able to look at a picture, you know, a computer or a digital or a tablet. And since I've returned from St. Catherine Labouré shrine, you also see the image that I see, and I think that's been an addition to my gift, because seeing is believing. When you can see the image that I see, and it's your appliance, it's not my phone, it's not my camera, you know that in that picture your loved one is putting something there with the energy that I said still exists after the soul leaves the body.
In the many years you've been doing this wonderful work, Linnea, what has been the most touching case that you've worked on?
Thank you. I think that I would say this. There's a very lovely family that I've known for about seven years in the local area where I live. And I met them after their brother had passed away, sadly, through long illness. And I was able to bring him back, and the family was very happy. I sang happy birthday, and it turned out that night was the mother's birthday of all of these children. And sadly, the mother, an elderly lady, just died about a month ago. And I felt very badly because I was very close to her. She was just a lovely, lovely woman. And I predicted 7 grandchildren for her. And they're all here, the little children I predicted. I went to her wake, and it was very difficult because she had been so vibrant and lively, and she was recovering from some lung issues. It was a shock to everyone that she didn't completely recover. And I came back to my office, and I was, getting ready to go somewhere, and something told me to take a picture in my mirror, in my vanity. I took a picture, and her face, this lady's face, appears on my shoulder. You can see it. I put it on Facebook. All of the kids saw it. The grandchildren that are, college age, the little ones I predicted are all under 7 or 8 years of age. But all the adults saw their mother and their grandmother's picture on my shoulder, and it gave them such comfort. And one of the daughters wrote to me on Facebook and said if she would come back to anybody, she would come back to you right away. So I think that was just beautiful, because she just passed away the night of the wake. I saw her family, and then 2 hours later her face appears on the side of my arm, and I had a jacket on. You can see the outline of her face perfectly clear. That was very touching for me.
That is amazing. In your work, do you ever work with angels, guardian angels?
I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say that when I'm with someone, I can often sense the presence of a guardian angel, not necessarily a relative or a loved one, but a presence that is divine, that is trying to give them guidance. I have had that experience, because angels are very real, as you know. And actually, in every religion, you are assigned a guardian angel at your birth, whatever religion you are. Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, you are assigned a guardian angel to walk with you through life. And when it is your time to go to glory, that guardian angel will walk with you and take you, to the other side. Actually, too, when our loved ones pass away, sometimes, our grandmothers, grandfathers, parents, husbands, wives, that person will choose to be somewhat of a guardian angel along with the one that is assigned to you from glory. And I do believe in them. I actually saw one the morning of my mother's final illness. I was trying to come to grips with this. I mean, everyone has to walk this walk. It's a very difficult walk for a child. And I ran into a Walgreens to get some orange juice. And I came outside, and there was this man. And I couldn't even look at him. He was so bright. He was in, beachwear. I live near the ocean. And he smiled at me, and he said, everything's going to be all right. And I looked at him, and I said, what do you mean? He goes, with your mother.
Wow.
It's going to be okay. Well, I went back into the store. I was a little stunned. I came back outside 2 minutes later, and he was gone. He wasn't there. You didn't see him walking anywhere. And I thought to myself, I just had a visit from an angel to tell me everything would be okay. And sadly, my mother passed that night at midnight.
Is everyone born with this gift, or is it just certain people? Because, I've had so many people on the show, Linnea, who says, oh, anybody can be a psychic, anybody can be a medium. We're all born with it. But over the years, I have come to doubt that.
I'm going to say thank you again. That's a really wonderful observation. I'm going to say that I think it's intrinsic in us, within us, but I think you have to want to develop it. I think you have to embrace it. Some people ignore it, and some people have hunches, some people have intuition,
right?
And I'm going to say you should always follow whatever you're feeling, because that's your own vibration telling you, don't go there, don't do this, pull back. So I'm going to say, I think in times of stress, when you're making a big decision or you're trying to find your pathway, sometimes you'll go with your gut instinct. But I am going to say that I think we're born with it, but some of us choose to develop it because we have no choice. It's just there, and we work with it. And then I think other people might block it because it's a frightening thing for some people. It's a little overwhelming for someone to feel, oh my gosh, I can do this, when they're not that familiar with it. So I'm going to say I think everyone has it. Some people choose not to deal with it.
How can a listener who may want to go to a medium or who may want to go to a psychic know that the person they're going to see is legitimate, that they have my listener's best interest in heart, not what they can get out of their wallets?
Right, that's another wonderful observation, because one has to be careful when you are going into that realm. You have to have trust, you have to have someone who's ethical, and you have to have someone who's genuine. I would say that I would look at their website, if they have one, or their Facebook page, and I would query different people that might have gone to them. You can do that on Facebook. You can have people say who's a person that you trust, or who's someone that you've gone to, who's someone. And I think word of mouth is also a very good way to find out who's someone you would like to go to and who's someone you would not. So I'm going to say also, too, you have to look at the price. If someone's reasonable and the price seems to be, within a budgetary thing, I think, that's another ethical question, because a lot of people that do this, sadly, the price tag is pretty high, and it's a wrong expectation, because people are coming for more than the monetary reason that you're doing it for. You should be doing it to give comfort and to give that joy of light and love that you're watched over, with love from the people on the other side. You might also see where they're affiliated. I do a lot of big events. I do a lot of charities. I do a lot of big interactive shows, and, the audiences are generally sold out, and most of my programs, I've been with them for 5 years or more. So when you have the continuity of an agency, when you have a sellout crowd, when you have people on Facebook or, through word of mouth complimenting the person's work, then I think you know that they're genuine and that's someone that you could trust and probably have a great experience with.
How do you deal with skepticism?
That's another interesting facet to this. I'm going to say that I try to use humor. I try to have the person be a little relaxed, because, again, I'm going to say someone that might not be open to it might be afraid of it. And it's a little overwhelming when you come in and you give a birthday, or you give, a father's name that's been in spirit for a long time. And, I wouldn't know that. And I think recently I did a big event with a lot of people. It was a fundraiser, and it was a lot of fun. And there was a gentleman in the audience, and, you could tell that this wasn't his cup of tea. And I said that to him, and he said, you're even more psychic than I thought. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I said, if you could bring anybody back, who would you want? I said, would it be your father? And he kind of paused for a minute, and he said, actually, that's who I wanted. I asked him to come back tonight. And I said, well, he said July 9th. And the gentleman stood up and grabbed me by the shoulders, and he was almost hysterical. And he said, that's the day he died. He said, I asked Pa, just give me that date, Dad, and I'll know it's you. And the wife said, I told you.
Oh, my
And for the rest of the night, whenever I went by his table, here's this guy with the thumbs up. And I said, is it great? He said, it's better than great. He goes, it's real. I said, it is. That meant a lot to me, because he was a guy that never would have come to this. I think his wife dragged him, and I gave him evidentiary. So you can work with skeptics, and when you do get the information that they know you couldn't know, it's like the miracle worker, the scene where Helen Keller is under the water tub,
Oh, yeah.
and you know what they're doing, and then all of a sudden when she gets it, that look on her face, and you know that you've made the connection. That's the most important part for me. I just want to make the connection to let you know your loved one is not lost to you. No one is lost.
Linnea, we talked earlier about Einstein, and
yeah,
you know, there, for all the good in the world, there is an equal amount of evil. How do you protect yourself when you're acting as a conduit into another dimension, another realm? How do you protect Linnea from any of these evil or demonic attacks?
Thank you. That's another Pandora's box that should be opened. I have to say that when I go into every event, I will ask for the white light. I will ask for that. You know, I am a Christian. I follow Christ. I'm very upfront about that. Not everyone follows Christ, and I respect that, and I know that. But I do believe that he came back from the grave, his resurrection. I do believe that's where I get my gift from. And I'm going to say I ask for protection when I go into these things, because you're right. Not always is it always on the good side. You can also have something from the dark side, and I just try to protect myself with that white light protection and asking my guardian angels to protect me when I go into things. I have often had people attend events that were connected to the other side, and I respect that on that level. And we've always had, you know, a nice connection to agree to disagree. But I'm going to say, too, and I'm just very sincere about this, in the world that we're in now, where we are with everything that's going on, we really need to become more spiritual as a people. Whatever spirituality we have, we need to ask that to protect us, because there's a lot of bad things going on, a lot of people following bad things, sadly. And I think the more spiritual you are, you're protecting yourself and your family, and hopefully protecting the world from some of these awful things that are going on. It's been very upsetting to see some of the things happening, because there's no reason for that. We're civilized. You know, we're beyond that kind of crusade mentality. You know, if I don't believe in something or you don't believe in something, we can agree to disagree and respect each other and learn more about why we don't believe in what I might have or what you might be involved in, and respect that and learn from it. So I think the world, Canada, the United States, Europe, Australia, we kind of need to become more spiritual to offset some of the bad things that are happening to people all over, and they don't deserve that. No one deserves some of the things that are happening.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you know that you nearly crossed a line and that you nearly put yourself in harm's way?
Actually, yes. There was a situation where I was at an event, and, you know, it was going really great. Everybody was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed them. And then somebody came in very late. She was much later than everybody else. And I immediately was on guard. I just didn't feel that there was something uncomfortable about this.
Right.
And when I finally got to this person, I said to them, I said, I'm a little surprised. I really don't think that this would be something that you would generally go to. And this person smiled, and what came out of her mouth sounded like something out of the Hounds of Hell.
Oh my gosh.
It was a voice that came out. The voice that came out sounded, you know, she was a lovely woman. It sounded like a demon, and it just said, there is no soul. And everybody in the room freaked out, and I, you know, downplayed it, and I gave her a name, and I gave her a date. And it was her mother's name and her mother's birthday, and the mother had died many years ago. And again, she kept saying, there is no soul. And I said, you know, you can believe that. That's perfectly fine. I said, but I think that your mother is coming back after 30-some-odd years just to verify that that's her name. And the name was a very unusual name. It was Joya, Joia. I don't know anybody with that name. And I knew where the mother was born in Italy, and I got her birth date, the month and the day. And finally, you know, we were done. And one of the gentlemen walked me out to the car. It was very late, and he was shaking. He said, what the heck was that? I said, well, I don't need to explain it. I said, I think it was somebody that, you know, really doesn't believe in the afterlife and something from the dark side. And it was distressing because I stood strong in my faith. I knew that I would be okay. But I was very upset on my way home, and I asked my mother in spirit, I said, please send me something from you. I need to have a connection to you. And I lived at the time in a building that didn't have any windows in the hallway. It was a big condo complex. And I got to my front door, and there was a great big white feather on the threshold. And I knew my mother had put it there. There was no way that a bird could have gotten in. There were no windows. It was just, you know, a high rise. And I said, thank you, Mama. I know that was from you. And the poem that goes with that, sometimes people will find white feathers all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's your loved one putting that aport in your pathway. And the poem that goes with that is kind of beautiful. It says, when angels are near, feathers appear. So anytime you find a feather in an unusual spot, you know that your loved one, your relative, your guardian angel put the feather to have you remember and notice them. You should always keep them, too, because they're good luck.
What is that poem again?
Yes, when angels are near,
Mm-hmm.
feathers appear.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? It's an old, I believe, English adage. What it means is when you find the feather,
Mm-hmm.
and they're usually white, not all the time, but usually when they're white feathers, 90% of the time, that's your loved one telling you, hi, guess what? I just peeked in to say hi, and I showed you with a white feather.
How does one's religious beliefs affect the request of a communication with the other side?
Well, there are some religions that are open to it, and then there are some that feel that it shouldn't be that way. And, you know, I respect all of that, but I feel in the year 2015, we are very much open to what can be and what will be and what could be. And I'm going to say it isn't the dark ages anymore, thank heaven. Now you can try to communicate with someone, and I think that there shouldn't be any taboo about it, because if there is heaven, if there is a paradise, if there is eternal life, why would people not want to know about it? Why wouldn't you want it to be proven for you? And sometimes in different religions, and I respect that, there is the adage that, no, we shouldn't go there. But you know what? I think we should, because it's telling you the validity of your lifetime. Your mother is not gone. Your father isn't gone forever. You're all going to find each other on the other side. And I'm thinking, too, that with all the, you know, the wonderful show that you have, the wonderful things you do with everyone, I think that's opening up the communication part to let clerics and to have religious leaders and to have people that think this is taboo to realize that it's not. It's a gift from God, and we should rejoice in it, because the soul is eternal, and that's always, you know, the message that I'm trying to promote. I did meet with a Jesuit priest a couple of years ago. He wanted to meet with me, and he thought that I might be a mystic. And a mystic is not a saint. A mystic is just someone that's been given, you know, a clairaudient, clairvoyant ability to see other things. And he wanted me to tell him something about himself. He was very, very nice and very open to this. And I said, of course, you know, Father, why not? And while we're sitting in the rectory talking to each other, he was very, very nice, I saw Padre Pio. So I told him that. And this priest was so astounded. He said, you couldn't know this. He said, I come from the village in Italy where Padre Pio was born. He said, he's my patron saint. He guides me. And Padre Pio actually died, I think, in 1968 and 1969, and he was able to bilocate. He could be in a hospital giving the last rites, or he could be at Mass. And he could also levitate. He could, you know, stand in a square and make himself go up a certain level, and it's been documented. And he's also one of the incorruptibles. If you go to incorruptiblesaints.com, you'll see several saints that their bodies were exhumed to canonize them. And his body was exhumed, I'm going to say maybe 10, 12 years ago, and he has not decayed, even though he was not embalmed. Saint Bernadette is also an incorrupt. And also Catherine Labouré. I saw Catherine Labouré in her habit at her chapel in Paris, and she died in 1876, and her body is completely intact. There was no decay. And that's kind of miraculous.
It is.
It happens in Hinduism, yes, and it happens in Buddhism, and they kind of ignore it. You know, they know it's a mystical thing, and they respect it, but it seems that the Christian aspect of this, where the people are exhumed and their bodies are almost completely perfect, they document it. They go over there, they take samples, they do all of this. And I have to say, when I saw her, Catherine Labouré, in her chapel, the same chapel that she became a novice in, I can't explain the word. The only word I can say is that I was stunned. I walked up to the altar. I had heard about this. I read about it. I knelt in front of her, and I could see this. And it is just the most unbelievable feeling that this woman died in 1876. And there she is. And it's just, you sit there and you really, it's hard to process it. You cry. You're just overwhelmed. It was so beautiful.
Fascinating. Here we are. It's the year 2015, Linnea. 10 years ago, people were just starting to talk. No, let's go 20 years ago when I started the show, 23 years ago now. People were just starting to talk about reincarnation, life beyond life. These were topics that weren't mainstream. 2015, we can talk about it. Where do you see
isn't that
it?
Wonderful?
Where do you see it in the future, dear?
I would say that I think where we're going with all of this, where this spirituality seems to be so constant and it's abiding, it hasn't dissipated. I'm going to say that the people that are learning about things, the things that are happening, I think it's going to become more commonplace and more accepted. I think that's the word that I want. I think I would say the word accepted, that people will know that, guess what, this isn't anything to be afraid of, and guess what, we're all in the same boat, and guess what, our loved ones are watching over us, and they do want to make that connection. They're more than ready to say to you, hi, it's me, and this proves it.
Why do you think we humans fear death so much?
Well, I'm going to say another beautiful observation. I'm going to say because it's the unknown. I would say because we don't know what it is. We haven't been there, and there have been people that have come back. But I'm going to say that I think people are afraid of it because it's really out of our control. We're all, going there someday. You get born, you grow up, and then, you live a long life, hopefully. Not everyone does, but I'm going to say that I think it's been so taboo and so unknown for such a long time that this is a comfort level to bring people to reality, that guess what, the reality is that it's absolutely real. It absolutely is the truth. And recently, I'm not sure if you probably did read this, there was a young mother with her daughter in her car, and she was in Utah, I believe, and she was driving home, and she didn't get there. So the family put out the word, everybody was looking, and sadly, they found her car submerged upside down in a river not too far from the home.
But wasn't the daughter all right?
Well, yeah, what happened was the rescuers, they heard a woman screaming, hurry, hurry, save her. And when they got to the car, the mother had been dead immediately. The baby was fine in the back seat. And these people came on TV and said, we heard a woman screaming, save her. I believe anyway, the mother heard them coming and wanted to save her child. So something like that opens up the floodgates to say, how did that happen, when seasoned rescuers are sitting on the Today Show going, I don't believe in this, but I was there and I heard it.
Life
so
beyond
that will
life.
Continue.
Linnea, as always, it's great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and sharing with us.
It's great. Thank you.
We've got about a minute left. What is your final message for the X Zone Nation tonight?
Thank you. I think I would tell everyone, rejoice. Don't be afraid. Live your life and know that your loved ones that came before you are watching over you with light and love. Be open to having them communicate with you. Look for the signs. Write down your dreams. And say to them, you know what, I want a message from you. Come to me. Talk to me. Show me something. And then they'll know that the soul heard them and the soul gave them something called hope.
LinneaStar, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to the next time you come back and pay us another visit here in the X Zone. Until then, blessings to you, dear.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. X Zone Nation, LinneaStar, www.LinneaStar.com. I'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. So from everyone here in the X Zone and the Starcom radio network to each and every one of you, take care of yourself and always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. My name is Rob McConnell. Good night.